Emotions in Motion.
Hey, what's up, everyone? How are you doing? I see you, Shirley Nicholson. Good morning to you. What's going on, Deborah Johnson? Good morning to you. I see you, Shardinia. Good morning to you. Hi, Marion Jackson. Good morning to you. Listen, it was a long but amazing day yesterday. Good morning, Jackie. Y'all are rolling up in here this morning. Hello, hello, hello. It was a long, busy, but amazing day on yesterday. So much we covered during National Voter Registration Day. There were so many organizations, teams, and groups of people out there. It was just absolutely amazing. So I hope I'm saying this right. Sonomis Mills, good morning to you. And Adrian, good morning to you. But yeah, we started out, as y'all know, on location yesterday at Kennedy Cakes, where we were registering people to vote. We were checking voter registration on yesterday. Had a great time there. You all got to meet the owner of Kennedy Cakes. Her name is Adrian. Just phenomenal work that they're doing there. It was so great to partner with them. Kim Edmondson and Latrice Jones came down there as well. We had a great time and speaking with them. Devontae Goings again. Thank you so much for handling the camera and the audio and all that. I see you, Stephanie Burbridge Hall. Come on in here, sister. So I want to just thank everyone who participated in National Voter Registration Day. Now, the day was yesterday, but all week we're doing registration, trying to get people registered before that clock ticks and you can no longer register to vote in this upcoming election, which is extremely, extremely important. I want all of you to please share in the chat how you were involved on yesterday. Just tell us how you were involved yesterday. Then News in Motion, we left Kennedy Cakes, which is an amazing bakery and coffee and all of those things. And we went to Junto. We went to Junto, which is a hotel in Columbus, Ohio, and we have mimosas. Yeah, we had sponsors in both of those places. So our goal was to register people to vote. So let us know how you served on yesterday, how you were involved, if that was sending out text messages, if it was posting on your social media, if it was posting on your website, if it was sending letters, making phone calls, sending text messages. However you participated on yesterday, please let us know. We want to hear from you about that. I see you, Kim Edmondson. Y'all, Kim Edmondson joined me yesterday. I just loved it. It was wonderful partnering with Kennedy Cakes. And again, I want to thank you, Adrian, and your team for allowing us to come in and to serve with you. It was amazing. Again, thank you to Devontae. Thank you also to Junto as well, the hotel and your staff there. One thing, I kept saying, we were talking about the numbers, and it's really not about the numbers per se for each individual organization. It's about the numbers for how many people we collectively registered to vote. And the last I checked with the National Voter Registration Day, it was a few 100,000 people that were registered, and the numbers were still coming in. So if you have not shared your numbers with your partnership who you collaborated with on yesterday, please get those numbers out so that we can turn those numbers into the National Day of Voter Registration. I see you, Lori. Good morning to you. So we can have a collective count there. There was one particular person, I don't see Latrice on here yet, but there was one particular person when we were shutting down at Kennedy Cakes, moving on to the Junto. And there was a young lady who came in. She was ordering her food. She grabbed one of the stickers, put it on, and she says, I just don't know where to vote. So one of the team members at Kennedy Cake said, hey, Gail, can you help her figure it out? So I went to the Ohio Secretary of State website, because we were in Ohio, to pull up her address. I asked her, do you mind if I have your name? Can I have your address? What's up, Dr. Antoinette? She said, no, I have no idea where to vote. So she gave me the address, and we were putting it in, and I said, oh, you vote. I told her exactly where she needed to vote. She says, thank you. She goes, I did not know where. So as she's leaving, Adrian, the owner of Kennedy Cakes, and Latrice were talking. And because of the work that Latrice asked her job, what she do every day, she said, that address sounds so familiar. Come to find out, the address is actually a shelter. which opened up a whole new thing for us. And so Latrice Jones, I got to give Latrice Jones credit. She said, well, it looks like News in Motion needs to go to some of the homeless shelters to make sure people are registered to vote or their addresses have been updated so that they can vote in this upcoming election. So no matter if you're in Ohio or wherever you are, find out these addresses and go into these places and say, hey, are you registered to vote? And make sure they know. She's listed in there. She's listed. Her address is listed in there. Her voter registration was complete. She just had no idea where she was to vote. So that opened up a whole new door. And I think sometimes we don't think about those things, but we have to think about those things. So start thinking about your community in which you live and, see if you can reach out to the management, executive staff, the board members, whomever, and say, hey, can we do a voter education class with your group of people who are housed in your shelter? Also, Latrice Jones said, let's not forget the domestic violence centers, the human trafficking safe houses. There's so many places that I think for many of us, we're not thinking about. So I want to say thank you to Latrice for coming out yesterday and for being able to identify that address and say, wait a minute. There's an opportunity. If she doesn't know where to vote, how many others in that same shelter may not know where to vote? So thank you, Latrice, for that. I see you, Regina. Adrian says, Billy Ellis is the latest entertainer to do a voter registration push, speaking to the young audience. Thank you for that, Adrian. And Dr. Antoinette says, my chapter of sorority, Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, was at a senior housing complex yesterday. That's another excellent idea because people move. Y'all, people are moving and you may not remember or think about, I got to change my ID. I got to change my voter registration card. So I need to update this. So we have to continue to do the work. So thank you, everyone, for doing this. Now, y'all, since we're talking about voting, and I just had to do this today. All of you've heard me talk about Jules a lot. My daughter and Jules are friends. And y'all, listen, we have to vote for this little one. Isn't he cute? That is James Patrick. Listen, y'all, let's vote for James. James, this is coming from the Jessica Alba Presents Baby of the Year. This baby would be featured, whichever baby wins will be featured in Good Housekeeping magazine. Yeah, we gotta vote for him. Okay, we gotta vote for this cutie pie right here. In the chat, I am putting the link. The link will also be in our YouTube as well, so that y'all can check that out. But y'all, we gotta vote for this little cutie pie right here. He's also my daughter is also his godmommy as well. But here's a little bit about James, his personality. They say you can always tell what James is thinking. He has the best facial expressions, and he does, and loves to laugh, and he does. He loves to be around people and loves his family. He tries to add to the conversation with his gurgles and laughs. He's already so smart and exceedingly milestone past his age range, trying to stand, talk, keep up to what everyone else is doing in the household. And he has a little sister, trust me. Well, his sister is older than him, but trust me, she's probably keeping him on his toes to wanting to do what he's doing. And her name is Journey. Some of his favorite activities, he loves playing and hanging toys with the purple monkey mat. And he loves the bells that he rings on his mat that he plays with. But y'all, we got to vote for him. Okay, we got to vote for James. Again, isn't he the cutest? So we just got to vote for this little cute baby. So yes, I said, I can give you some space on my platform. You know I can. So I wanted to do that. Okay, y'all, everything else I'm going to talk about today before I bring in our guest is all about voting. And as I'm sharing this, I want you to think about your vote plan as I'm sharing all this news that's unfolding. The Washington Post reports Arizona election official to ask court to block nearly 100,000 voters with missing citizenship records from voting in state races. But hold on. A key election official in Arizona, Maricopa County, plans to ask the state's highest court to prohibit, again, nearly 100,000 longtime residents from voting in state and local races this fall after discovering the state does not have records that they prove their citizenship. But hold on. Like other states, Arizona requires voters to swear that they are citizens when they register to vote. But for 20 years, Arizona law has gone further and required residents to show their birth certificates, naturalization papers, or other documents proving citizenship to vote in state and local elections. Now, at issue is a pool of voters who have not submitted those documents. So the Secretary of State said that the vast majority probably are longtime citizens who are eligible to vote in all races. He said that more of that list are registered as Republicans than as Democrats. Now, he said no matter the rule, he wants to make sure that everyone has the proof that they need to turn in. He said that they can provide those necessary papers. So that's unfolding. So we're talking about possibly 100,000 there. So even with that, think for a moment. Again, check your voter registration. Check it. And for those of you who think everybody's registered, well, we learned on yesterday that Bishop T.D. Jakes of the Potter's House in Dallas, Texas, he was purged from the voting. Yeah, of all people. I'm like, who voted? Who purged him? So he found out, and he has a video of it on his Instagram. Go check out the video. He was at the United Mega Cares voter registration event that was at his church, okay, at the Potter's House last Sunday. He said he was one of 7 people who discovered that they needed to update the registration because they had been purged. Yes, Adrian, the shenanigans. He said it caught him off guard because he thought he was already set, but he filled out the form right away to make sure that he's good to go for the election season. He said then he started to wonder how many others might be in the same boat. So then he asked the question. He said, come on, we should all be asking, hey, even if you go out to dinner, to lunch, to coffee, just sit across from somebody and say, hey, you know what, before we dive into our conversation, let's just pull up our voter registration real quick to see if we are already registered to vote and make sure we have not been purged and make sure all of our information is correct. Y'all know I've been doing this on a monthly basis for several years since we've been on News in Motion. I started doing it every week. I'm now doing it every day. I'm just checking. I just don't trust the process. Also, when we're talking about voting and what to look for, we're talking about inflation, the cost of living, rate cuts. Well, y'all, rate cuts may happen today. We're waiting to hear from Chairman Powell of the Federal Reserve Commission, the board, excuse me. So 2 p.m. Eastern time, if rate cuts, the questions we should be asking is, what does this do for us as citizens of the United States? Where are we going with this? On yesterday also, y'all, as you're thinking about voting, the Democrats put in the Senate before them a bill for the second time, the IVF bill, and it was voted down. It was voted down. But then because of shenanigans, we had Senator Ted Cruz decide that we was going to put up a vote. He was going to put up a different kind of vote for IVF. And it wasn't at all what they were talking about. So he was just doing that, and the Democrats shut him down. So there's infighting within the halls of Congress. Bills are not being passed. Bills are being made up, and so forth and so on. And then, y'all, this story right here I want to talk about before I get to our guest today. And I still don't know how to feel about this. We're learning more and more about women who are bleeding out because hospitals are afraid to perform surgery with the belief that they will be sued or jailed or whatnot. So abortion bans have delayed emergency medical care in Georgia. Experts say this mother's death was preventable. This is out of ProPublica. This link is going to be in the Friday rundown so that you can read it for yourself. Amber Nicole Thurman suffered from a grave infection at her suburban Atlanta hospital, which was well equipped to treat. That's how the headline begins. Single mom. Now her son is without his mother. And again, because of fear. In this report, there are more and more um, student resident within hospitals are saying they're coming out of OBGYN, they're going into different types of medicine because they don't want this on their heads. They don't want to deal with this at all. So then they're asking questions. So who's training the incoming people and how will they be trained? Will they have the necessary training to care for a mother who may be experiencing challenges? So y'all, all of this is continuously unfolding, but I want us to really consider when we are voting, are we thinking about everybody? Yeah, Kim Edmondson, very sad. Are we thinking about everybody? And what do we need to do as voters to make sure people have the proper care that they need? And that others are not going to be sued or jailed because of the decision that they made that they believe was best for their patients, excuse me. So I'm going to put that in the Friday rundown because I want you to read it for yourself. Marion said because her death was preventable, now the hospital is now liable for her death and the family can sue the hospital for her death. So yeah, and there's a lot of conversation around that as well. Before we get to Vahni, I'm so excited to have her on here. Y'all, AP reports, as well as so many others on yesterday, about the exploding pagers in Lebanon and Syria, which killed 9 and wounded 2,700. So as you all know, people are now starting to point fingers as to what happened. That story from this morning is still unfolding. So I just wanted to put that headline out there. I will cover more on this tomorrow. And this is a week of voting. So again, y'all prepare to be sick of me. And it's okay. It's okay. But tomorrow we will have Lexi Williams, high school senior and News in Motion high school ambassador, who's going to be joining us talking about voting when it comes to the young people. Dr. Antoinette says, stop playing games with our lives. There's that. So a lot of this is still unfolding. And as I shared yesterday live, and thank y'all for hanging out with me while I was live on location. It was totally new for me, but we made it through. And again, thank you to Devontae Goins for helping me out. But everything that I can do here through News in Motion, we're going to do our best to educate, to share, to give deadlines. There's a lot of deadlines that are coming up. We're going to have a full list tomorrow that we'll have on the screen that you can find your state of the last day to register to vote. But y'all, it doesn't end there. Then I'm going to get on all of your nerves saying that make sure you participate in the voting process. And I, for the first time, am going to be a very early voter. Ohio's the first day of early voting is the day after the deadline for voting registration. I will be there in line casting my ballot. So y'all make sure you register to vote. Make sure you find your polling location. Make sure you learn about your ballot. You can do a sample ballot. Check your ID requirements. Check your ID and then make sure you vote. Make sure you vote. All right, y'all. I'm so excited to have Vahni Kurra with me today. And I'm reading directly from her bio. She hails from desperate parts of the American Midwest with roots in southern India. And she didn't have this on here, but I'm going to share this. When we were talking, when we were meeting each other, because I'm actually sharing with them tomorrow night, I learned she lived in Ohio. I learned she lived in Dublin, Ohio, and Bexley, Ohio. So we got a little something for you when I bring her on here. She earned a BA in English and Creative Writing from Kenyon College. She has had work published in Peach Magazine and Oyster River Pages. Vahni has always been a strong advocate for the rights of women and trans folks, as she has interned for NARAL Pro-Choice Ohio and helped facilitate a peer support program for Kenyan students impacted by sexual assault. Vahni blends her passions for gender equality and creative writing as a staff member for Girls Right Now out of New York. She currently lives in Brooklyn, New York. Girls Right Now is a national writing and mentoring nonprofit dedicated to training the next generation of writers and leaders for life. So y'all know I'm excited to have her on here. So come on in here, Vahni. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Gail. It's so good to see you again.
So good to see you. I'm so excited about this. So, let's get this out the way. OH.
IO.
There you go. There you go. I told her, and we got to do that, right? Some people don't even understand. They're like, what are y'all saying? And why are y'all saying? It's like, if
Yeah,
you know, you know. And if
if
you
you
don't
know,
know,
you
just keep on moving.
know.
So I'm so happy to have you on this morning. Just to let the audience know, y'all, since 1998, Girls Right Now has been forging a path for diverse powerhouse of voices across genders, races, ages, and socioeconomic backgrounds to uplift the leaders of tomorrow. They say on their website that their community spreads across the nation, is loudly and proudly telling their stories every day, and they're doing so in part to ensure that the voices are heard. What I love about all this, where you're talking about the lens of diversity, equity, inclusion, and most importantly, belonging. I'm so excited that tomorrow you all invited me to join you on your platform tomorrow evening. Can you please speak to that before we get into our interview?
Yes, absolutely. So tomorrow evening from 5 to 7 p.m. Eastern Time, we are having a hybrid voter registration event as part of the continuation of National Voter Registration Day celebrations and activations. So it is hybrid. So if you're in New York City, you can join us at our offices in Midtown. But if you are anywhere else in the United States and the world, really, you can join us online on Zoom. It's going to be a really wonderful event. Gail, of course, is one of our speakers who will be talking about her voter story. We have many different leaders from across industries. So we will have journalists, community organizers. We will have a New York City Council member who will be speaking. We also have leaders at brands and publications. And then, of course, we have our student ambassadors, which is a program that I shepherded in as part of National Voter Registration Day. And I can talk a little bit about that later. But it should be a really wonderful evening. It'll be a chance for people to learn more about why voting is important, not just how, but why.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, we are really excited to have everyone join us.
I'm excited about it. I've been posting it and sharing it and telling everyone to make sure they tune in because I think it's going to be phenomenal. So, yeah, thank you for the invitation to join you all to share tomorrow. So, let's jump in. Um, I want to hear, and I'm thinking back to our meeting, putting tomorrow together, and when you all asked me to join you. Why is voting such a central focus for girls right now, and how does it empower young women in their writing and advocacy?
Absolutely. So, as you were mentioning, Girls Right Now, we are writing and mentoring organizations. So, a large part of what we do is we pair young women and gender expansive youth with a mentor who they work with one on one for the year. But we also create a community of writers, and we do that through workshops that are about writing. But these workshops are also about how do you use your voice to affect the change you want to see in the world? How do you, as one individual, feel confident that the work that you're doing, the things that you're saying, have a real impact on other people? So, Girls Right Now, our programming is rooted in social emotional learning. And our idea is that if young women and young people feel that their voice matters, feel that the things that they have to say are going to be heard by others, they can actually go on to be leaders in their community. So that is why voting really matters to us. It's a very simple and effective way for
Yeah.
all American citizens over the age of 18 to have a say in what happens in their communities, in their country at large.
Yeah.
And it's just the first step for a lot of these young people. They're, in their own lives, they are leaders. They are showing up to city council meetings to make their voices heard. They are writing op-ed pieces. They are writing creative writing pieces that will
Yeah.
hopefully show people, new perspectives that they might not be exposed to. And that is also a form of change and a form of activism. But voting is part of that also.
Yeah.
And that is one of the ways that we tell the stories, not just of what we believe is important, but what we believe is important for our communities at large.
You know, you're speaking my language, right? Because I think it's so important. We talk here on News in Motion, attending town hall meetings, going to the city council meetings, going to the school board meetings, going to your HOA,
Mhm.
your home ownership associations, having that say, understanding how to connect the dots, writing to your Congress people, still putting that opt-ed in there, going to your writing platform, your blogs, Medium, whatever, and writing articles there. People will read. I see Shelly coming in here. What's up? Good morning, girl. And that's so powerful. And people, I'm afraid, and you tell me if you think I'm wrong here. I'm afraid that we hear the sound bites and that's what we do. Instead of actually taking a step back saying, well, let me go find this out for myself. Let me read and research what's actually happening before we do or say anything. There was a young lady yesterday who shared something with me, and I had to. I'm bad with my facial expressions, Vahni. I think you saw that on the meeting we had. I'm real bad with facial expressions. And someone said something, and my face told it all. And she said, "What, is that incorrect?" And I said, "Yeah, it is." So I had to pull it out. I'm like, let me. I don't want to tell you. I want you to read this for yourself. And she read it, and she says, "Okay, but this is just one article." I said, "Oh, there's about several more. Just keep Googling, keep searching." And she came back later and she said, "Wow." She said, "I had been believing this because I did not take the time to research that." And I believe our researching and writing are connected. Would you agree or disagree with that, and why? And do you see that within girls right now?
Yes, see, now you're speaking my language, which is something I've personally believed for a really long time and have seen borne out in the conversations I have with our mentees, in the writing that they're producing. Um, I think that writing is such an important tool for people to synthesize all of this information that we're getting. You know, the media landscape now is so oversaturated. We're constantly being bombarded with news, with opinions, with misinformation. And I think one of the best ways for us to slow down and actually say, what is it that I'm reading? What is it that is real and relevant to my life and the things I'm learning about? Writing gives you that space and that time to sit down, make that outline, do the research, say, what is actually important? What do people need to hear? And write that out. And for me, at least, when I write, I think a lot of what my brain is doing is actually then able to process and to
I
say,
agree.
okay, this is clarifying not just for my readers, but for me as well. And we see that a lot with our young people who are writing not just to produce work, but to process emotions in their lives, to process events that are happening. Because I think it's also really important to note. So, Girls Right Now serves a incredibly vulnerable population. 90% of our mentees are low income. They are 90% young people of color, 25% LGBTQIA+,
Mhm.
75% immigrants or first generation. So a lot of these news stories that we talk about are very directly impacting them
Mhm.
in a day-to-day way. So in order to process that and to understand, like, what can I do about these things that I see happening in my community? What can I do about these
Right.
things that are directly affecting me? I think writing is a really important first step in that.
And you raised something, and I'm so glad you said it. And my followers here, those viewers here, know where I'm headed. You heard what Vahni just said, who they connect with, and how the impact is being made. The website is on the screen. Please give. This is how we continue to help those who may be less fortunate or not have all the connections and the influence and so forth. Please give. It doesn't matter the amount that you give. Y'all know I've been talking about becoming philanthropists here. That's a part of the Everbloom component that I'm putting out here. Give. Girlsrightnow.org. Girlsrightnow.org. We have to support, we have to give, and I'm not going to stop talking about it. So here's my next question. And they know me by now, Bonnie. Don't think, oh, did she just really do that? Yes, I did. Good morning, Deborah Sneed. All right, so how does advocacy intersect with Girls Right Now programming and mission, and what is the overall impact you all hope will make on the girls who participate? So I heard leaders, writing, but what do you see as their next step when it comes to advocacy and growth?
Yeah, absolutely. So, one of the newer programs that we put out in the last year and that we're going to be continuing into the next year is a learning journey called Lead 360. And the idea is to give our girls and young people a 360-degree view of what it means to be a leader and how they can affect change in ways that feel exciting to them and ways that they're passionate about. So some of the projects that came out of this, we had a student who started a native plants initiative in her hometown in California. So going to schools and planting native plants and talking about how this affects climate change and how this affects many other issues locally. We had a student who started letter writing campaigns and was bringing people into
I love it.
community with one another to write letters to incarcerated folks, to write letters to Asian American elders who really didn't get outside a lot and couldn't see a lot of people. We had so many different and really creative ways of tackling these like seemingly intractable, huge problems in our society.
Love it.
And we really want them to continue those projects. So we actually have upcoming this year a lead incubator where we take students who've already started projects and projects like the ones I mentioned and continue them because we know that mentorship, leadership, these things don't end once you graduate or once you leave a program. You need support throughout the lifetime of those projects. I don't think any of us got where we are today without the ongoing support of our mentors in our community. And so that's what we want to do at Girls Right Now. We say, even though our program goes up to age 24, you're a member with us for life. You can always come back. There are more resources for you. You can then pass on what you've learned as a mentor. So we're really trying to show that this is a lifelong pursuit. And like you said, what is the next step that we see for them? We want them to tell us that. We want them to see it for themselves, and then for us to help them with that.
I love that. Now you have, if I recall, you have a mentoring program where you're partnering people with Girls Right Now. Is that correct? Can you speak to that? Because I want people to know there's multiple ways we can get involved with something like this, which I think is absolutely phenomenal. And as you're sharing that, share your student ambassador program as well.
Yes, definitely. So, ways that people can get involved, we actually just launched our new applications for mentors. It is really easy to become a mentor. All it takes is your time and your heart. So, we have mentoring programs where you work one on one with a mentee for about 3 months. Those are our learning journeys, and you can see more about that on our website. We also have shorter time commitments. So if you're thinking, I really want to help a young person, I really want to work with them, but I don't know if I can do, a couple hours a month for 3 months, that's okay. We also have something called Mentors on Demand, where you
Oh,
essentially sign up and we'll contact you and reach out to you if there is a young person who has a specific thing that they need help with. So let's say you're very good at resume writing. You can tell us that. We can then connect you once we have a mentee who is applying for their first job out of college, maybe needs help with that. We also have mentors for the day, where if you work at a company or an organization and you would like to do an event with us where our young people meet you and other employees or other colleagues or other members of a group, we can also do that. So all of that is on
I
our
love it.
website. There's a lot of ways to get involved. And you also asked about our student ambassador program. So I wanted to talk
That
about
you created. I want
yeah,
everyone to know that.
thank you very much. Yeah, it's been a project I've been really excited about that came about in relation to National Voter Registration Day. And similar to our lead program and inspired by that, I really wanted to put our mentees in the driver's seat and have them be directing the projects that they're doing. So I essentially met with a group of Girls Right Now mentees, but also some girls from other organizations that we are partnered with. And I essentially sat down with them. We went over voting deadlines and voting guidelines and things that they would need to know. And then I said, what feels most important to you? What is most exciting to you? Do you want to do a voter registration drive? Do you want to do a social media project to reach other young people? What is exciting to you? And we came up with a great array of projects. We have 2 students doing voter registration drives. One is doing them at Brooklyn College, where she's a student. The other is doing one at her high school on Long Island, and she's doing it during a homecoming game. Because as she explained to me, that's the only time that non-students are allowed on campus. So she was thinking that's the biggest reach, and she could get whole families registered to vote, not just students. We also have a student who's doing a virtual essay. She's a student at St. Olaf in Minnesota. And she's collecting data about how members of the Girls Right Now community have voted in the past, in the sense that she's collecting data about how many elections have you voted in? What was the first year that you voted? And she's going to create this visual piece that expresses that. And so people can see, like, how are my peers voting? How are other mentors and mentees voting? And hopefully have it encourage them. And then finally, we do have a student who is creating a social media series. And actually the first video of that will go out today. And she'll be talking about why you need to vote, the history of voting, especially for women and marginalized people in the United States, which is, as you know, a very fraught history. So yeah, it's really exciting. And those projects will continue for the next month or so.
I absolutely love everything you're talking about. It's so exciting. Y'all now see why I was drawn to this organization. I'm loving all this. I have one more question. And see, Gina says, good morning. She's saying good morning to the 2 of us. And I also want to just ask the viewers, those of you, I know some of you are getting ready to get in the car to go to work. On our audio side, we have a little over 700 people who are listening in on audio. Live video, we have about 19 or 20. And that number is always off. And then our replays that will come in. But Gina, I see that you're on here, but does anyone have any questions? Good morning, Jeffrey Payne. Good morning to you. And as you all are writing your questions in here, I have one final question for her. But if you all have questions, please post them in the chat. What are some of the key challenges young women face in today's political climate? And how does Girls Right Now equip them to overcome these obstacles?
Yeah, there are so many things that are affecting young women right now. I know on your show, you've definitely talked about a lot of them. I think one of the major things, though, is a crisis of confidence in young women. There are a lot of things that are affecting young women specifically, whether that is health outcomes, mental health outcomes being a large one. I remember there was a very disturbing study that was released last year from the CDC about the appalling state of young women's mental health, the increase in depression, anxiety, suicide rates, dealing with sexual assault, all of these things. And part of the way that Girls Right Now is trying to address these crises is by providing them with a space where they feel safe, where they feel like they can learn and grow in the direction that they want to learn and grow in, and that we are supporting that. So I mentioned earlier, we're grounded in social emotional learning. And the idea behind that is that by the time our girls and young people leave our program, they feel much more confident. In our surveys, we've seen an increase in positive identity. So not only the idea that they are comfortable in their lives and in their bodies, but that they genuinely feel like they can make a difference in their communities and with their writing. And we also have a lot of wellness programs. For example, we have a podcast called Writing Our Way to Wellness, where we interview mental health professionals and writers and people who are working in the mental health space about how does writing actually contribute to our mental health? How does it make us feel better? How does it help us process traumatic events? How does it help us process, again, what is happening in the world around us? So that actually, the first episode of that also comes out tomorrow on the same day as our voter registration event, which is very exciting. So there are many things that we're addressing, but I think the biggest one when it comes to mentorship is just the idea that our young people aren't alone in the world. I think we live in really isolating times. We've also seen a rise in the number of people experiencing extreme loneliness, whether that's due to the pandemic or increasing polarization or the ways that we are isolating ourselves from our communities. We really want to show people you do not have to do anything alone, whether that's writing, whether that's living, whether that's being a leader. And there are people who you can lean on. And that's what we do when we pair them with mentors. And that's what we do when we create a community like the one we have.
I love that. Thank you so much, y'all. We could go on and on and on. Again, tomorrow is their event, Storytelling for Change, a National Voter Registration Day event that will happen tomorrow, Thursday, September the 19th, from 5 to 7 p.m. Eastern Time. It's a hybrid, so it's in person and online. So can they just go to the website I have up here to register for that?
Yes.
Is there a cost for registration?
Nope, it's entirely free. We want as many people to come as possible. So bring your friends, bring your family, your coworkers, the person down the street. Run over to them and tell them. Do whatever you want. We would love as many people as possible. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And so, just to let you know, there will be an editor in chief of Parents Magazine, New York City Council member. There's a director of People and Culture. Is it Mischief? And then community organizer, CTC for Progress, me, Gail Dudley. And then head of brand at TIA, host of Corner Office Breakdown. So that's just a few of us, and you have your team there as well. Are there any last words? And before I turn it back over to you, and then I'll go into my inspirational message, everyone. Give to this organization. Seriously, y'all heard what Vahni has shared. They're making a significant difference in the lives of young people. And those who are marginalized, those who are coming from low income families. So y'all give. This is an opportunity as we're building. And again, a philanthropist, you don't have to have millions. You can do it with $5, $1, $25, $50, $100, $500, whatever it is that you're able to do. Please consider giving to this organization. And I just really want to say thank you for joining me today here on News in Motion. Do you have any thoughts or anything you want to share before I go to my inspirational message?
Just that I'm so appreciative, Gail, of you for having me on, for this community that you've cultivated. And really, this is what Girls Right Now is all about, is getting people in a room, getting in, whether that's virtual or in person, talking to them, and working together. And also, I'm very excited to be voting this year. Everyone else should be too. Vote for Baby James. Go vote for your Senate races, your House races, president, school boards, etc. And we hope to see you tomorrow at our event.
I love that. And y'all, she mentioned Baby James. I got to put him back up here. That's Baby James. Y'all got to vote for him. The link is out there, and the link will also be in the Friday rundown. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Thank you all.
All right, y'all. It's time for the inspirational message. Wasn't she just amazing? That's Vahni Kurra. She's absolutely amazing. We connected when I learned she was she was born in Indiana, but raised in Ohio. I got real excited about that. So, y'all, here's my inspirational message, and I'm thinking about it from yesterday's perspective, National Voter Registration Day. It can be very exhausting. It can. So I want to encourage everyone to take time out to rest. Take time out to process, to sit still, to be still and think through. Here's something that is so key. One thing I refuse to do, and someone tried to pull me in on yesterday at the Junto, and that was to argue. I'm not going to argue about voting. You have an opportunity to vote. And a young man there was like, oh, why are we voting? I'm not interested in voting. I said, okay, that's your choice. And then he said something like, you're here fear mongering, telling people that their information is not, to check your information because it may not be there, it may be purged. I said, it's not what I said. So he was also with another young man. And the other young man said, yeah, I don't believe in all that. I'm not checking it. And then he said, I'm going to just do this just for the heck of it. I'm sitting there like, okay, because I'm not going to argue. The young man checked and he said, what? Something's missing. I've been purged. He said, what do I do? I said, well, now you need me, right? And I didn't say it in such a crazy way, but I was sitting there like, yeah, sure, okay. So I said, well, you need to go to Morse Road if you live in Franklin County. In Columbus, Ohio, you need to go to Morse Road to the Board of Elections building and fix this. I said, I wouldn't wait because October the 7th is it for us. So you might need to go and fix that now. So, but I refuse to get in an argument. And it is so easy to get into an argument. So you have to determine for yourself how you're going to protect your peace. Again, we're all exhausted, but we can't quit. And I'm talking to a nonpartisan group of people. You make the determination. How you vote, I cannot tell you how to vote. I shared that with you for 4 years. I cannot tell you how to vote. But I am going to share with you that it is extremely important that you use your voice to vote. I'll share my story tomorrow on Girls Right Now, just my storytelling that I'll share there. But I will say this with all of you here, and I've written about it. I think about my grandmother, and I think about the fact she was a true advocate. And it's interesting, later in life, I'm learning from my father, who is 88 years old, how much of an advocate my grandmother was when she was in her younger years. She's now has passed away, but when she was in her late teens and early 20s. And my father, I take him to the grocery store. My father said to me one day, he said, you're just like your grandmother, my mom. And I had never heard this story before in my life. And I said, wow. He said, it's interesting to see you move in the way that you move. And I actually wore my pearls today, not for the other person, but for my grandmother, because my grandmother gave me a set of pearls, and I don't have those on. Those are tucked away. But she said, because when I was young, she goes, you remind me of me when I was out here doing the advocacy work. But it did not click until I spoke with my father, and he was sharing with me. And he said, your grandmother used to get so exhausted. Yesterday, although it was exciting to do the work, it became very exhausting. When I got home, it was like, Calgon, take me away. But we can talk about it, but it's when we do it. So the inspirational message today is a call to action. And that is keep doing what you're doing, but know your limits and know when to back off and know when to calm down and tell yourself, I'm not going to get in an argument with you about voting, but I am going to share my education with you. And it's up to you to decide if you want to receive it or not. Y'all, these next, I think it's now we're at 48, 47 days, are going to be tough. Protect your peace. Protect your peace. And I want to specifically, again, I still want to stay on the nonpartisan side when I share this. This is going to sound partisan, but I don't mean for it to be partisan at all. And that is Black women, Black and brown women. I see it progressing. I see the conversations that are happening. I hear the conversations even standing in the Kroger grocery store line of someone making a comment about Black women and about Black women trying to find their space this election, about Black women this and Black women that. Don't engage in the argument. Know who you are, know where you stand, and know that you indeed can make a difference. All of us can. All of us can. So do what you need to do. Self-care is important. Go back and review the interview I had with Davia Williams Stevenson 2 weeks ago about protecting our mental health in this election cycle. We have to protect our mental health. But do what you need to do. If you're faced with exhaustion, take a step back. It's okay to take a break, but then to come back out. Shelly, good morning, girl. I'm so glad you joined us. Yes, she says, see you tomorrow. I will see you tomorrow. She says, Gail, on behalf of Girls Right Now community, thank you for sharing your platform and your voice. Don't get weary in well-doing. We can do this. We are descendants of those who would not die. Listen, I got to put this comment up here because I think that is amazing. That comment right there. Y'all, this is my friend. she's my friend, she's in the New Jersey side. This is my friend. We connected from writing in a writing group. The writing community is huge, y'all. It's huge. And she and I connected. We were in a predominantly white group. And she and I connected, and we've been friends ever since. I don't even know how long it's been, Shelly. I have no idea. But we've been friends ever since. And so thank you for that. Yes, we have to keep going. We have to keep going. Deborah Sneed, it's so good to see you on here. So good to see you on here. All right, y'all, that's all I have for today. Tomorrow we will have Lexi. We will have Lexi Williams with us tomorrow. High schooler, senior in high school. I will not spoil it and share her story, but she's going to come hang out with us tomorrow. And she may have some other students with us. So listen, if you know of any 17, 18, 19, 20-year-old, and you think they should join us tomorrow, please have them do so. Let them know to check us out, or they can check out the replay as well. Jeffrey Payne said, thank you for everything you do. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And y'all, listen, go vote for baby James, okay? Vote for him. Again, this is Jules. Jules is a part of our team indirectly, but y'all, listen, go vote for baby James. I'll put the link in the YouTube for the description. All right, y'all, it's been great today. It's been great, and I'm exhausted, but I got to keep going. Y'all know what I say, everyone. Stay well, and remember, make some bold moves. We're out.
Motion.